Well, good afternoon. Wife and I are out on our first trip in the RVs. We're going to ride around a favorite place of mine. It's called Belle Ridge. It's a RV park in Monterey, and I spent a good portion of my life traipsing around these woods and hunting and four-wheeling, and now I come back decades later converted to an RV park, and we get to relive a lot of good old memories. Lots of ways to stay up here. You can camp, literally tent camp in a backwoods type uh, campsite over the hill. You can rent a cabin. Got various levels of the cabins from very modest to very nice. And you got the RV park with the trailer. So your choice. Get in the backwoods and camp, spend a few days in the cabin, or pull your RV up here. Growing up, this is called Williams Lake, Williams Pond. We'd ride our bikes just a short distance from Monterey, park in the woods and sneak in. Trees used to go all the way to the edge, so it's a lot more wide open now than it used to be. I may or may not have swam naked in this water. I'm not saying I did or I didn't, but had some good times here sneaking in. Never got caught. We'd come in and play, and Hensley Williams, the owner, I'm sure he probably knew we were out here, but he was cool about it and let us swim and play. If we're into primitive type stuff, camping on the ground, out that little road's about 8 or 10 tent sites. You can camp there. Uh, Bathroom, drove by it on the way out here, so you can drive back to the bathroom and shower, that type thing. And pond I was just at, this is the road to the other side of it. Again, I may or may not have swam naked in that water, I'm not saying. Got a picnic pavilion, it's called Sawmill Pavilion. The reason it's called Sawmill is that at one time there was an old sawmill set here, and all the timber from down in the hollow was drug up here through a cable system where they had a steam operated motor that would pull the logs up from the bottom, cut the logs, haul them to the edge of the bluff. And I can show you some cables here in a minute still around, but the sawmill was just right in this area right here. Pretty typical of what you saw all around the area. getting the logs to the top of the ridge, cablings, steam motors, that type of thing. As opposed to some places over around the Big South Fork area, they used a wooden plume type system and would gravity feed the logs off the top down to the river, float them out by the water. But here's pretty typical, just a cabling system and cutting them up right here at the sawmill and going on out. Chained off, this is part of a series of UTV trails people used to come out here and ride, but the RV park shut it down several years ago. Remnants of an old cable that they used to pull the logs up out of the hollow. One of my favorite overlooks, kind of my back door. Tell you some stories. Way down at the bottom, that is Calf Killer. We'd ride our old Jeep all the way up that little curvy road inside of the creek. Down at the bottom right there was an old cabin one of the local guys has used for deer hunting. A little flat area. We'd park. That little dark area, that is called Verbal Falls. Nice falls. You can hike to it from here, but it's not worth it right now because there's no water. All the land right in through here is owned by Belle Ridge, the RV park. Everything on the other side of that ridge, this whole hillside, all the way down, is part of what we call the Walker Farm. On the other side of that hill is several hundred acres of fields. So this whole ridge right here, I have covered it, hunted it, and walked all over it over the years. Way over there is called Whetstone Hollow. Got quite a few deer right in through there. Good memories. One of these places you can come and sit for a long time and think about everything. The other big farm on this side, call that the Taze Farm. But everyone was gracious. They let me hunt, hike, all that good stuff. So can't tell you the thousands of hours have been spent right here. Very good to come bring the RV up. Around that corner, up what we call Stumps Hollow, is B-Rock. Believe it or not, kids, we could walk from B-Rock all the way around the bluff line to come out here. Not a real far distance. You go down this bluff and then across the creek, and up on the other side's the Walker Farm. I mean, it's not a big deal 40 years ago. It probably is now. Well, as the sun goes down, out for a little bit of a walk. First trip out in the RV, our April trip. Got May coming up real quick. I call it camping, but here's the story. My wife and I used to backpack. We go into places like Big South Fork. Our favorite was hiking down into Honey Creek and sleeping either cowboy style or in a small tent. Because of some work-related injuries, wife's mobility went way down, and don't do that anymore. RV may be a sissified way of camping, but guess what? It gets us out, and we can still reminisce and talk about camping. And in the same token, we've got a nice bed to sleep in, and she can get around pretty good inside a little RV. So hope you've enjoyed the first trip of the year, not far from our home. I always do this because always something goes wrong in an RV. Can be a big pain in the rear end. Always some little something breaks, tears up. Got out here and had a leaking water fitting, had to stop and be a plumber and got that resolved. There's always some little something, and that's part of it. RVs aren't built great, but it gets me and my wife out, and we can camp, and we can pretend like we're still sleeping on the ground under a bluff up in Honey Creek somewhere. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you later.